Hello, wonderful people. If you are new here, hello. My name is Joanna, and today we are going to be doing just a little quick get ready with me. Talk about some things. Let's get into our feelings, you guys. Not really. Do I know what we're going to talk about? No. I kind of have ideas of what I want to talk about in my head, but are they going to be acutely conveyed in a way that I want them to be? Absolutely not, no. But that's fine. Starting off, I already have makeup on. I filmed a video before this, and I put concealer on, curled my lashes, and I put on Glossier's Cloud Paint in Dusk, just to make myself look semi-awake and cognizant. So I already had makeup on, but we're gonna basically cover it up. So going in, first of all, I'm gonna use the Dream BB Fresh Cream in light to medium. I mix that with my Glossier Future Dew. So, I wrote a lot of psych papers yesterday, psych, sociology papers, because I am the queen of procrastination. For one of my classes, I had to write a paper about the 7 meanings of death. Really easy. It was like a paper you to correlate back to yourself. Super duper fun to write about because I love using I in actual essays, because whenever you get to use the pronoun I, it's almost like writing as a stream of consciousness, so it comes very easily. All you gotta do is get like the rough draft out, and then you can edit that afterwards. Do I often edit my rough draft to the extent that I maybe should? No. But anyways, it was a very fun paper to write about. Some meanings of death. I can do it off the top of my head. Enfeebled life, nothing, virtual death, perpetual, cycle, recycle, continuation, and waiting. So those are the 7 meanings of death, in a very cut dry way of describing them that I can't totally do justice about is how we interpret death based on personal, religious, or cultural context. Particularly the most fun one to write about, surprisingly, was virtual death. So 6 of those have been practiced for centuries now, but virtual death is the newest one, and there's the argument that because children are exposed to violent video games where, the way I worded it in my essay was death in a video game in the context of like Modern Warfare or Call of Duty, killing a character in that game is a way of gaining success. What the book did not really address, it touched on, but it didn't really wholeheartedly address, is that for every violent video game, there's like a Harvest Moon, there's a Animal Crossing, there's a Sims game, which Sims arguably could be violent, but stick with me. And those games could introduce children to the concept of death in a very productive way. So I know for a fact Sims 4 and Sims 3, and I believe Sims 2 as well. I'd never played these Sims, but I played Sims 2, Sims 3, Sims 4. And I believe when a Sim died in the family or in the household you were playing, there's always a moodlet of sorts that would be akin to grief. And when your Sim gets that grief moodlet, it's a very watered down version of like the stages of grief depending on who you're going by, but it's just the depression aspect of it. But even just that really simple moodlet could lead a child to understanding that death is a sad thing. And granted, I know Sims is not meant to be a child's game, but let's be honest, we were playing it when we were in elementary school. But that little simple moodlet could be a way to allow a child to understand that grief is normal. It is simple enough for a child to understand that death is sad, and it's normal to be sad over it, and it's normal to have emotional outbursts in reference to it. And then again, there's still like the killings of Sims. But anyways, that's just one way where I feel virtual death is a positive thing, especially in Western society where we do not address death like we should. I know Animal Crossing might be a stretch, but there's also the concept of loss that could be seen in Animal Crossing via running through flowers and killing your flowers. It gives the child a concept of consequences, like you can kill things if you don't take good care of them, which again is another way of introducing a child to a very simple concept of what death is. And in Harvest Moon, your animals can die from old age or lack of care. Your crops can die from the seasons changing, and again, lack of care. So it does introduce the concept of death to children, again in a very cut, dry, simple way that is digestible for them. So I argue that, virtual death does not make death non-existent to children. Virtual death is not perceiving death as nothing. It's perceiving death as loss as well. But anyways, also the whole thing argued that violent video games cause antisocial personality disorders, which I talked about this with my partner last night just to kind of get his input on it, because he's the psychiatry guy, and the way I thought it works, and he agreed that yes, violent video games could enable antisocial personality disorder, but I do not believe in any way that a violent video game would inherently cause that personality disorder to develop. I think you would need to look a lot more into environmental and genetic factors to really definitively say if that video game caused the personality disorder. And I would put a lot of money on to say that there's no case where a video game has caused a child or an adolescent to develop an antisocial personality disorder, especially since that is very rare in adolescents, because personality disorders are very uncommon in children and adolescents, and some adolescents, depending on the age range, younger adolescents, because they don't have personalities. You don't have a solidified personality at age 15. Sorry, I went on a tangent there and I forgot I was even doing makeup, but I am using Glossier's Stretch Concealer in the shade G11, which is a little bit too light for me right now, but we will make it work. Which goes on to my next topic of personalities. So I get a lot of memes on my Instagram Explore page, and a lot of them are Gen Z memes, ones I really I can somewhat relate to, but not completely. They're young Gen Z memes, so like high school people. People are just a few years out of touch with me, which is another reason why I feel like generations are a very weird concept, because it can only take like 3 or 5 years, especially with the recent boom of technological innovation, for two people to feel disconnected. So I've seen like a lot of younger people, probably I would say at least below age 18, high school, junior high age, adolescents making memes on TikTok and Instagram, just discussing, LOL, I don't have a personality, or my personality changes so much depending on who I'm with, or it just changes so much in general. And they phrase it in like a very joking manner, which I made those types of jokes as an adolescent as well. I think we all did, really. When you start to become a little bit more self-aware of like how your personality alters depending on who you're with, but there's like a serious little undertone of them of saying like, there's something wrong with me, like that's not normal. And based off the numbers of the likes and the likes and comments on those memes, that would be enough to tell you that it's not like dysfunctional or abnormal. It's pretty normal. If anything, the fact that somebody recognizes that, an adolescent recognizes that, means you're actually fairly self-aware of how you are in life. I also see the no personality thing coming from younger adolescents, more like, I would say early high school, junior high age, from what I could tell. And the fun thing is, because, like I said earlier, you don't diagnose a lot of children or younger adolescents in general, with personality disorders, because there's nothing to really base it off of, because we don't have really solidified personalities at that point. When you're that age, you are whatever character you think is coolest that week. Like, we base ourselves off of the media a lot, especially in my generation and the generation after me. A lot of how we perceive ourselves comes from media. So if there's a character we really, really like, we really identify with, whether or not it's valid or whatnot, we're going to inherently take some of those little personality traits and apply them to ourselves. And it's perfectly normal. In fact, I think it's more than normal. It's probably expected at this point of adolescents to be doing the same, because it's a way of like trying out who you are as a person, as a upcoming young adult. So I see all these memes of saying like, I don't have a personality. That's normal. Your personality is going to change so much. You do have a personality. You may not recognize that, but you do have a personality. It's just not, it's not overarching. Like, your personality is going to be a little bit like flimsy and malleable for the next few years, but by the time you're 20, you can at least identify what traits have stayed with you long enough to see that's probably going to stay a little bit longer, and those traits may stay with you, or they may evolve in a way that's functional with your current lifestyle. And I think this is probably pretty common knowledge to anybody who's taken a psych class, AP Psych even. Your frontal lobe, primarily your prefrontal cortex, is not going to be fully developed. Women, I believe, the average is 25, and I think men are 30. That could be wrong. They both could be 25, because my textbook said 25, but I swear to goodness I can remember reading an article where it cited men as being more closer to 30 when their prefrontal cortex is completely developed. And my partner corroborated that, so maybe that's right. So I looked all over the internet for anything that would corroborate me believing that age 30 was the average age for men in their prefrontal cortex development or maturation. Could not find anything. So we're just going to say 25 for both sexes. That seems fair and easy to go with. But I swear, I remember something saying 30 was like the average age for men. But I can't find anything to cite that says that, so I don't want to definitively put it out there. So we're just going to say 25. 25 is the mean age for prefrontal cortex development. Maybe I'm thinking of frontal lobe, maybe I'm not generalizing enough, but I feel like I saw something that was related to prefrontal cortex. Anyways, let's get back to the video. So as a fully functioning adult, your decision making is going to go through your frontal cortex, your frontal lobe, and primarily your prefrontal cortex, which is going to tell you if that decision is wise or not, and it's going to give you a little bit more of a logical input. Whereas when you are an adolescent, when your prefrontal cortex and your frontal lobe in general are not fully online yet, not fully developed, you're going to semi-rely on your limbic system to give you a choice, give you your choice, which is going to be emotion-based, which is why a lot of young people do choices based off of their emotional input, because that's why we make stupid decisions when we are young. That being said, just because your prefrontal cortex is developing on time, like in later adolescence, doesn't mean you're not going to make stupid decisions, because it's really going to primarily depend on your reward center. Like, if you're hanging around people who reward you for doing stupid stuff, you're going to win stupid prizes, despite the fact that your prefrontal cortex probably knows better by then. The reward system just overrides that completely, and you want the validation from your peers, so you're going to do the stupid thing. You're going to jump off that bridge, or you're going to, ram that teacher's car. Don't do that. That's very mean. Teachers already go through a lot of crap. I have no clue why I didn't address it. I think I was just very excited to be talking about death and psychology and personality analysis and introspection and whatnot. So the reason why I brought up neuroscience and all this, and specifically the frontal lobe, is because the frontal lobe is strongly associated with the development of personality in people. So if your frontal lobe is not fully developed, you're not going to have a fully developed personality. So that's where I was trying to get with that. Just did not address that at all. I just went straight on to the next topic. Love it. Makes editing very easy for me. So easy. Anyways, again, back to the video. Sorry. I'm so sorry. It's totally normal and expected. I don't think you should not have a solidified personality at age 15. I would really hope not. You're going to be a very different person even within like the next year. It just made me think of adolescent me and how worried I was that my personality was never going to develop the way I wanted it to. And in part that was because I was inhibiting myself from doing so by doing stupid things, which I think we all can somewhat relate to on different levels. And I would often make jokes kind of like the people in these TikToks and memes saying like, I don't have a personality, lol, or my personality changes with whoever I'm with, I don't have a solidified sense of self. Like, you probably shouldn't act the same way with your parental guardians as you do with your close age-appropriate friends, or with your SO. You have personalities to adapt to the situations you are in, and I would argue that if you are able to do that, you are a very self-aware and smart human, because it takes some sort of cognitive process to understand that I can't say a curse word in front of my parents, and I probably shouldn't bring up this traumatic story that happened to me in front of my parents because it may upset them. But I can joke about it with my friends, and it's perfectly fine. Or I can have a really serious, deep conversation about it with my partner. Different people in your life satisfy different facets of your personality. So it only makes sense that you're going to act differently depending on what group you're in. I would actually say if you have only one personality for every single person you're with, that actually might be somewhat dysfunctional. I'm not saying dysfunctional in a wholeheartedly bad way, but that just might lend an air to understanding that there might be a little bit of a lack of social awareness in that person. It's not even the fact that you don't have a personality, it's the fact that your personality is just so malleable. Like, it can do anything, which is an amazing thing, and you should utilize that. You should go do as many things as you want to do that are healthy and productive. Don't do stupid things. But yeah, just kind of a little self-reflection, little intuitive thought process that may not be entirely correct, but I think I have the right spirit. I think I have the right spirit. Other than that little rant about death, virtual death, and personality in young people, life is great. Life is really good. I'm a little bit stressed out over school, which is kind of nice. It gives me a sense of normalcy in all of this. I move out in a few days. I'm going back to New Jersey. I've not seen my partner Bobby since April now, so I've not seen him in quite a while. I've not seen him since he's become Mr. Dr. Pants, so I'm very excited to see him. Yeah, I miss my partner, and school is stressful, but I'm honestly living for it because it makes me feel like I'm being a little bit productive. Because there's not a lot of things that make me feel productive right now. But I'm going to top off this makeup look with just some mascara. Okay, that should be good. I think this is all I'm gonna do. I want to do a little bit more, but I really actually have to leave the house in like 5 minutes, so that's probably not a wise idea to do anything extravagant on my face. Nor do I really need to, because I'm not going anywhere where people are going to care what I look like, quite literally. So, with all this being said, I hope you enjoyed my stupid little introspective thought process right now. It was more of a stream of consciousness than it was actually constructive and useful in any relevance, but it was kind of fun to just sit here and talk. Anyways, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful month, a wonderful year, especially now, and I will see you guys in the next video.